Hey, Pat Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk with you about predictions for 2025. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Fitness Business School podcast, the show for fitness business owners who want to grow their income, increase their impact, and improve their lifestyle. Be sure to listen till the end of this episode because we have a brand new special offer exclusive for listeners. So stay tuned. So every few years, I make predictions for what I think is going to happen in the fitness, sports performance landscape in the upcoming year and the upcoming 18 months. And historically, I think I've been on the front end of a number of things, and I don't think it has anything to do with intellect or whatever else. It's more of observation. I look outside of our industry quite a bit and see where things are going because I'm not necessarily neck deep in just delivering a service for the day. So I can kind of have my head up and look around. And that's allowed me to figure out doing small group training when I was giving baseball lessons all the way back in the late 1990s. It allowed me to see the opportunity and be an early adopter and probably the biggest proponent of subscription-based programs and personal training and 12-month agreements. I mean, we were doing this in my gym all the way back in 2004 when the so-called leaders in the industry were telling me I was crazy, and getting away from traditional one-on-one, hour-long kind of packages of sessions. We were doing things that were kind of non-traditional, 30-minute sessions, small group stuff. Again, in like 2005, 2006, we created a hybrid style gym. I was a franchisee, a very early adopter of Anytime Fitness, created a hybrid style gym that was a training centric Anytime Fitness about a decade before they started to do that themselves in a lot of facilities. And we had the first boot camp coaching program all the way back at the end of 2008, before the surge of all the things that were later called boot camps or large group training, before that got really popular. And then beyond that, I mean, we've obviously all seen the surge of training-based franchises in the industry. Well, we had the number one ranked fitness franchise in the personal training side of fitness dating back to 2011. I mean, before the emergence of the brands like Orange Theory and Burn Boot Camp, before any of those guys got real traction in the market, heck, maybe even before they launched. I mean, we were ahead of that. So why am I telling you this? Because I don't know that I make predictions all that often, but when I do, I'm doing it based on aggregating a lot of information, looking outside the industry, seeing where other kind of parallel fields, whether it be service or hospitality or retail or whatever else, seeing how they've evolved and how they've moved. And so I've got a couple things I want to run through with you today, and then we'll do a second segment of this so I can allocate some time to each of these predictions and maybe give you some ideas about how to skate to where the puck is going. My first prediction is a real increased focus on accountability. I think that because we're so involved in the day-to-day of operating gyms, if you do have a facility, there's some inherent accountability, right? People sign up for appointments. They have a prescribed training program to adhere to. The equipment's already laid out for them, so it's easier to execute. There's somebody coaching them through, holding them accountable in the moment from set to set and even rep to rep. They have some peer accountability in a lot of instances with groups or even semi-private type of training. So there's a lot of accountability kind of baked into somebody coming into the facility. Now, a few years back, when we really saw an explosion of online training, we saw such a dramatic difference when people just said, hey, here are training programs. Go execute this, and they'd give them access through an app to some videos or even an Excel spreadsheet with links to videos and descriptions. And the compliance was not nearly as good. The results were not nearly as good. There's a reason why having that heavy dose of accountability works, is because we're asking people to adopt new behaviors, to get out of their comfort zone, to do things that maybe they're not incredibly experienced at or really good at or have had a track record of success with. And it takes accountability to keep people on track with that. Well, now we are operating in a landscape that has access to more information than we've ever had before. I mean, we've always been able to get training programs out of magazines for a few dollars. Now, I mean, you can go on YouTube and pull down follow along workouts kind of at your discretion. Heck, I had a client in one of our coaching programs who's owned a gym for years build his first house by watching YouTube videos and was able to do about 80% of it just by that. And so that's not, the access to information is abundant. And with AI, it's only going to continue to go in that direction. There's going to be more and more. I mean, people can get workouts on their phone. They can generate workouts through AI apps and platforms. So how are we not seeing just dramatic improvements in results if people have access to all this programming? Well, I would tell you that the accountability that people have in the gym, it's not real prevalent outside the gym. And frankly, that's where a lot of their success or lack thereof comes from. And their accountability being consistent with nutrition, their accountability being active outside the hour a day, 3 days a week they come to a gym. The accountability when it comes to recovery, when it comes to supplementation or anything else they're going to do to accelerate their progress. Well, they need those kind of touch points to really kind of guide them and troubleshoot and problem solve to keep them on track, to get them back on track when they may take a detour, when they may stumble. And we do that great inside the four walls of a facility. We don't do that so well outside. And I think that's going to be the opportunity. I think so many people in our industry are starting to recognize that if all you're doing is hosting workouts, you're leaving 165 hours a week to chance. And those 165 hours can undermine a lot of the progress you make during the 3 hours that you're supervising somebody. So I fully expect that accountability will play a bigger part in the success of gyms and the success of online programs, hybrid programs. I think if somebody, you see this a lot where you have like destination facilities where somebody might go in, get assessed, get a program designed for them, and then they go home and have to execute the program. Sometimes that works a little bit better when it's a high level athlete or somebody that, is really invested in the performance that they need to have on the field or on the court. So they may be a little more consistent, but even there, those people do better when they're in regular communication with a coach. So when you're thinking about people who have full lives, who have families, who have jobs, who have everything on their plate, and this is something they're trying to add, something they're trying to integrate into their lifestyle, accountability will be paramount. And that may mean daily check-ins via text. I mean, there are companies out there that do a great job even doing daily phone calls. It may mean check-ins once a week with a quick Zoom, video chat, phone call, something like that. And then a couple check-ins through the course of the week with text messaging. But accountability is going to be a big part of the success of a lot of the training businesses, whether it's online or offline, but maybe more surprisingly for the offline, because I think we've been able to kind of get by without it in the past, but it's going to be a bigger part of that than ever before. And frankly, it's going to be a differentiator that's going to allow a lot of people to thrive and probably leave a lot of other businesses in their wake. The second prediction that I have is I fully expect that successful businesses are going to be forced to be a little bit more collaborative than they've been. And what I mean by that is a lot of times in the fitness world, in the sports performance world, people almost try to have this kind of alpha persona. Like they know what's right. They're kind of out on an island doing their thing, and anybody who's doing something that isn't in alignment with them is the bad guy, the enemy, the adversary. And I think two good examples of this are with the weight loss drugs that have gained so much market share as of late, and they get constant media attention. They are getting essentially social proof put out in front with celebrities using them. Sure, they get some bad media attention too, but they're not going away. They're going to keep evolving. People see the magnitude of that market, and it's going to keep growing and growing. And a lot of businesses in the health and fitness world have really fought that, right? They've really battled that tooth and nail, talking about all the downsides, talking about the side effects, talking about the negative repercussions of taking these. But if this is where the world is going, how do we play nice with it, right? How do we find ways to support people who are taking these types of weight loss drugs to help them see the results that they want, maintain the results that they seek, maybe mitigate some of the side effects? How do we work to do more of that? I think that's a golden opportunity, because I think fighting this, kind of railing against this, would be like somebody railing against the advent of the iPhone 13, 14 years ago and saying, well, we're just going to fight it. This is bad. This is the enemy. Well, I mean, you're going to get steamrolled, because this is where it's going, and drug companies see a massive opportunity here. They see the opportunity to continue to evolve this and keep putting more in the market to find better solutions, or more marketable or more saleable solutions. So it's not going away. How do we work with it versus against it? The other example that I've seen for many years, I mean, years ago, I was the CEO of the International Youth Conditioning Association. I was a co-owner, really was heavily involved in the sports performance world, and still am, just not under that umbrella. And we would see the people that own the sports performance facilities, the private sector folks, just being antagonistic to no end with the scholastic people, the sport coaches at the schools, the in-house strength coaches, the football coaches who doubled as the strength coach or weight room supervisor. And it just created infighting, because there was a lot of backbiting, a lot of antagonism, and people saw each other as adversaries. And that didn't really work out for the private sector people, because the kids wanted to be on the team, so they had to appease the coach. And we're seeing that again now with club and travel sports. We're seeing so much of the travel sport, the skill folk, the again, private sector, but in a different way. We're seeing club and travel teams kind of dominate the athletes' time, their schedule, who is influencing them. And you get a lot of people who are in the private sector side of this fighting against it, saying, hey, you need to not do as much of that. You need to be spending more time strength and conditioning. You need to be over here preparing yourself, thinking long-term athletic development, whatever else. And I would never in a million years say that's a wrong way to look at it. But again, it's not the reality these athletes are living in. They want to be on the team. They know that being on the team means kind of playing nice with the coaching staff, playing nice with the organization. The parents are fearful of kind of upsetting the apple cart. There are things that are being recommended in-house. Some of those organizations take the stuff in-house to try to more effectively monetize the audience they have. So we've seen it just like we saw it with schools, and the guys who did great with school programs said, okay, what are they doing in the weight room at school? How do we complement that? How do we help them on speed development, movement quality, that sort of thing that they don't have time for in the weight room, that they don't have space for in the weight room? How do we complement that? And now the schools see us as allies. Well, the same thing needs to happen in the sports performance world. The sports performance side of things, instead of saying, well, it'd be optimal for you to be here 3 or 4 days a week, you need to prioritize this over everything else, they need to accept that maybe we're not getting optimal, but we can certainly build a relationship and get market share and have a positive impact on athletes. And then through that, over time, the compounding of that gives us more influence, more credibility. And so our voice can be heard more to impact the way players are being developed. So I think you'll see more and more of that, whether it's collaboration with training businesses and the health world, whether it's sports performance businesses and clubs and travel organizations or schools. I think the days of just being over here on an island arguing with everybody and that being your stance is how to gain market share, it just doesn't work. There's too much competition. There are too many people influencing the consumer that you're dealing with. If you're always the squeaky wheel, always the person kind of battling and fighting, it's going to adversely affect your business. All right, so those are the first two predictions, and I've got 3 more that I want to take you through. I'm going to cover them in the next episode, and frankly, they're big ones where I think the opportunity lies for independent businesses, all the stuff that we want to talk about when it comes to wellness and the future of what fitness probably looks like. So be sure to check out the next episode. See you there. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fitness Business School. Before you go, I have a quick announcement. One of the things that we've been doing with our current clients is taking them through this ideal business diagnostic. And really what it is this checklist that allows you to pinpoint exactly what your business needs next so you can keep improving, keep growing, and build a business that you love to own. One that pays you well, one that allows you to have the impact you want to have, and one that allows you to have a lifestyle that you truly enjoy. In this diagnostic, we walk through everything and we do an evaluation and can instantly pinpoint what you need to do next to build that business that you want. I'm going to extend this opportunity to get on with either me or my team and take you through this evaluation and fix your business's most vital needs fast. So if we take you through this, you're going to be able to make those vital changes that you need to finally have what I call your ideal business. If you'd be interested in going through this entirely free, risk-free diagnostic with us and learn what you already have in place, what you're doing well, and where your greatest opportunities for rapid improvement are, just shoot me an email with diagnostic in the subject line to pat@patrigsby.com. Again, an email to pat@patrigsby.com with diagnostic in the subject line will get you scheduled and take you through this evaluation to help you build the business you want.